Evolution, a deliberate yet subliminal process for all but humankind. We cannot wait.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
He's on the move.
Coming up, researchers have engineered equipment that provides better quality images than conventional X-ray methods. The breakthrough could help in the detection of bomb detonators concealed in luggage. New French technology that could help cut deaths by drowning in swimming pools. A device incorporated into an average-sized wristwatch that could soon be saving lives in deeper waters. And that old lifesaver tea looks like it really does have positive health benefits. A recycling project is producing non-slip floor tiles using glass from bottles and even television and computer screens. Groundbreaking research could bring new hope to millions of people throughout the world who suffer from river blindness. Scientists are investigating how the drug used to treat the tropical disease works so that new, more effective treatments can be developed. And the now historic Gemini missions were the first to employ underwater simulations to prepare astronauts for the work they would need to perform in the weightlessness of space. It would prove to be invaluable and irreplaceable training. But first, every year millions of visitors come to Washington, D.C. to tour the National Archives, America's largest storehouse of historic documents. On show, the Constitution of the United States, and to help monitor the aging process of this document and others, such as the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, the National Archives installed the Space Age camera. The task was to determine what kind of technology could be used to provide a long-term monitoring system that would allow them to have baseline information that was taken at the beginning of the monitoring period, and then to be able to follow in a very detailed fashion the condition of the documents over the next 50 to 100 years. Engineers designed the National Archives camera, adapting technology normally used at that time for deep space missions. The camera images the documents by scanning under green light a handful of pre-designated postage stamp size areas. In this case, a practice target is being used instead of a real document. During each pass of the scanner, 1 million bits of digital information are collected. The system has the capability of going back year by year to the exact same spot in order to make comparative studies of the condition of the documents. In addition, a whole variety of image processing techniques can be used. In the case of the first two letters of the Constitution, the W and E of we, the people, the black and white image can be color enhanced to more easily see areas where ink has flaked off the parchment. The process also assists curators in keeping track of any loss in the quality of the parchment that may occur while it's on display. This is particularly important for documents that are frequently exhibited. The monitoring system can also be a valuable tool in determining what kind of active measures can be taken in order to save and stabilize a document or piece of artwork. The imaging system represents a down-to-earth use of the newest technology to preserve the oldest treasures of civilization. Technological advances in X-ray imaging made at Keele University in the UK could provide a vital advantage at airport security checks. Researchers from the university have engineered equipment that provides better quality images than conventional X-ray methods. The breakthrough could help in the detection of bomb detonators concealed in luggage. It's an ability that so far has evaded airport security systems. The new technique is called element-specific imaging. A typical X-ray image potentially contains information from each of the 92 elements in the universe. That means that conventional machines pick up aluminium from toothpaste, carbon from clothes, and steel from belt buckles. Element-specific imaging singles out the vital information so the complication is eliminated. The fine-resolution selective imaging technology could also be useful in a medical setting. It can produce X-rays that detect arthritis in joints and blood flow around the arteries of the heart.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
One of Britain's leading footwear manufacturers is walking tall after earning the 2001 award for international trade. Clark Shoes, which has been trading for over 175 years, saw more than 40% of its business come from overseas sales. At Clark's factory in Ilminster, they're turning out 34,000 pairs of children's shoes a week. The uppers imported from India and China are made into shoes in the UK. The soles are either bonded to the uppers with adhesive or fused using new technology and polymers. Clarks are very popular in Japan, and the company has also been successful in the US market, where profits have increased fourfold since 1996. The company's success is built on the back of the post-war baby boom and the now famous desert boot. Clarks are looking for growth in Europe, particularly Germany, Spain and Italy. Winter production is working for next summer with new lines already being sold. Because of this, forward business planning is essential. Demand overseas is very different from that in the UK, so Clarks spend a lot of time to make sure the products are correct for the markets. In the year 2000, the company turned over £8.6 billion and made profits of more than £52 million. Despite talk of a recession in world markets, Clarks are responding to the challenges ahead. While most old bottles are simply thrown into a bin to end up in a landfill site, these are being transformed into floor tiles. The glass is first treated and cleaned before being carefully broken up and put into molds. Such recycling projects in the UK can apply for over £5 million of grants that are currently available. It's funded by cash from the government and private enterprise through an agency set up to ensure money goes to recycling projects. It's a unique program in that a public-private partnership can bring small and medium-sized companies into something that has generally been the domain of government with large companies. Once the molds are filled with glass, they're put into kilns and heated at 980 degrees Celsius to form their eventual shape. Once cooled, the plaster molds are broken off to reveal the fully formed floor tiles ready for sale. The company says it's a unique way to use waste that would have gone into landfill but is being recycled to benefit society and the environment. The company is already recycling other things, including computer and television screens.
diathlete per man.
Groundbreaking research could bring new hope to millions of people throughout the world who suffer from river blindness. Scientists are investigating how the drug used to treat the tropical disease works so that new, more effective treatments can be developed. The microscopic translucent worm C. elegans is famous for being the first animal to have its whole genetic blueprint identified. The disease affects more than 20 million people in Africa and Central and South America. It's transmitted from person to person by a small black fly that bites like a mosquito, releasing into the skin of the victim a parasite which eventually destroys the optic nerve. The most effective treatment is an annual dose of ivermectin. It kills the worm by binding to sites called receptors on its muscles and nerves. The worm is then paralyzed and starves to death. Widespread use of ivermectin in veterinary medicine has led to some worms becoming resistant. There are fears that the same might happen in human mass treatment programs. By building up a picture of how C. elegans works, scientists hope to increase our understanding of how to treat and eradicate one of the developing world's most debilitating diseases. Watching swimmers is a lifeguard's primary concern, but distraction is the main reason why a drowning person can be missed. Some 885,000 people a year use this 50-metre pool at the Wickham Sports Centre in Buckinghamshire, just outside of London. Lifeguards here have been using the Poseidon system recently, a network of underwater cameras that monitor the bottom of the pool. New technology allows a computer to construct a three-dimensional model of swimmers in the pool. It's been programmed to identify suspicious events and then automatically to trigger an alarm. The system shouldn't be considered as a replacement for a lifeguard. It's another way of improving the safety of the swimmers, but it's still better than the performance obtained with a solely human surveillance. The system has already saved the life of a young swimmer in France where it was conceived. It is, according to a lifeguard at Wickham, a backup. People don't always drown kicking and splashing. They can go under silently. So it's good to know there's something watching the bottom of the pool at all times to alert the lifeguards to any problem. But the British Lifeguard Association is more cautious about the new system, which, if successful here at Wickham, could be installed in pools across the country. Whilst the Society doesn't endorse other people's products, they have committed to work with Poseidon to make sure that it does help lifeguards to do their job more effectively. Poseidon says the company is looking to broaden the system's application to athletic training or security systems, where conventional police closed-circuit televisions now operate. And another new marine device currently being tested could help save hundreds of lives according to its designers. The device is incorporated into an average-sized wristwatch and emits an alarm on board the boat when a crew member falls overboard. In most man-made situations, the people best placed to rescue the victim are fellow crew members. Devices already exist which alert those on the boat if someone falls into the sea. But it's the first time such technology has been incorporated into a watch. Within 4 seconds of an incident occurring, the wristwatch transmits a signal on the standard distress frequency, sounding an alarm on a receiver on board the boat. Flashing lights indicate whether the boat is heading in the right direction. Makers of the Guardian wristwatch say their device is the smallest on the market. The great benefit is that it is a watch, a multifunctional 50-metre waterproof diver's watch with loads of functions. The system has a range of 1 mile and can be used without alerting rescue services in the area, although it can be picked up by Coast Guards and helicopters if necessary. They believe the Guardian Watch will save lives. And that other lifesaver, tea. New scientific research has given the industry something to drink to. Despite the loss in market share, tea still dominates the British beverages market. The UK tea industry is worth £700 million a year, with 165 million cups being consumed every single day. Not bad for an industry which has traditionally had little cause to advertise itself, spending only £24 million annually on advertising, around 7 times less than soft drinks. Bill Gorman, Executive Director of the Tea Council, says scientific evidence is there now to show that the antioxidants in tea and tea flavonoids help protect your heart and in many cases can inhibit the growth of certain cancers. In Britain, no day would be complete without the ritual of afternoon tea. It's a big earner for some of Britain's best hotels. The challenge for the industry is how to reinvent or repackage this centuries-old everyday beverage as a health product in much the same way as the bottled water industry did back in the 1980s. If it can do this, it could stop trouble brewing in the future.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Controlled re-entry was a goal in all of the 12 landmark Gemini missions. What is observed here is atmospheric glow trailing the spacecraft on its re-entry. On the first 3 manned flights, Gemini 3 through 5, average landing accuracy was only 57 nautical miles from the planned impact point. This distance soon improved. Gemini 6A was landed within 7 nautical miles of the planned impact point. Gemini 8 landed within 1.1 nautical miles of its intended target, and this was further shaved to just 0.4 of a mile in Gemini 9A, establishing a remarkable record. Overall, the average miss distance of the last 7 flights was only 3.6 nautical miles. This experience would assist greatly in the planning of the lunar mission. Crews would be returning from the moon at about 40,000 kilometers an hour. To land safely within a 1,000 square kilometer footprint, they would have to hit a re-entry corridor within 2 degrees of the planned flight path. The sheer act of a man opening the Gemini hatch and going into space made extravehicular activity a unique objective in these early missions. A 22-minute spacewalk was performed from Gemini 4, with the astronaut experiencing no disorientation. As the missions progressed, astronauts went from performing relatively uncomplicated spacewalks to undertaking functional work. On 3 flights, Gemini 9A, 10 and 11, the pilots faced problems of body control and workload. 2 answers evolved. The first was a new underwater training program for crews, which proved especially useful in the closeness of its simulation to space conditions. And secondly, there was the increased use of body restraints during work sessions. 9 pieces of body restraining equipment were used during the flight of Gemini 9. By Gemini 12, 44 pieces of restraining equipment had been developed. Buzz Aldrin put to work the experience he had gained from 4 flights and underwater training to complete 19 tasks in his 2-hour spacewalk. He performed such fundamental space work as activating an experiment, tightening and loosening bolts, and cleaning up his work area. Gemini's spacewalk experiments have given us the assurance that man could work and explore in the vacuum of space, whether that work was on the moon or an orbiting space station. The Gemini missions provided depth in both flight and ground crew proficiency. It trained a staff of mission controllers that became highly skilled in all facets of spaceflight operations. Often overlooked but never to be underestimated, the crew at Cape Kennedy successfully launched all 12 Gemini vehicles. Recovery personnel from the Department of Defense and NASA showed similar improvements in skills, increasing their spacecraft retrieval efficiency by 50% over the course of the 12 flights. The record of the flight crew is, of course, better known. When the last vehicle splashed down, Gemini had logged 1,940 man-hours, almost 40 times as great as the Mercury missions before it. Part of Gemini's work roster was the taking of over 2,400 synoptic weather and terrain photographs. The aerial mapping performed by Gemini Flight 9A mapped 80% of Peru in just one pass, and it took only 3 minutes. These photographs were subsequently supplied to the Peruvian government. Commercial uses have been many. This shot of Texas shows the distribution of shrimp in coastal waters. Commercial fishermen have extensively studied this photo and others like it. Weather photographs have been equally rewarding, enabling close study of the vortex of storms and the build-up of storm regions in successive photo passes. Gemini also photographs sources of air pollution over cities and other man-made structures. The International Affairs Office of NASA made available this information to interested scientists of all countries. The 52 varied experiments undertaken over 1,940 man-hours finally came to an end. And in the process, it gave us the confidence to tackle the next goals of man's spaceflight. To land for the first time on the moon, explore it, and return to Earth. And to acquire new scientific knowledge in orbital workshops and to reach out toward interplanetary exploration.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
He is on the moon.